If you are a blacksmith, knife maker, stonemason, artist, leather worker, general craftsman, or anything related, this video is for you. What I am going to show you right now is what it takes for me to make a batch of knives to make $1,000.
Go to any class, a woodworking class, masonry class, any of that. Not a single one of those teachers will teach you how to sell and market your work. None of them. Or at least the classes I've been to didn't teach me how to sell and market my work. I had to learn all that the hard way. Watch this video to the end because these tips and tricks and secrets no mastersmith and no teacher will teach you in their class because of one simple thing. They do not want competition. If you guys could do me a very, very easy, quick favor, watch to the end. I do not get paid from these videos yet, but if you watch to the end, which I don't know how long this video is going to be as of now, but if you watch to the end and hit the like button and comment, I don't care what kind of comment it is, even if it is a hate comment, it will still boost my video. So you can go down there and leave me a whole row of middle finger emojis and I will still be happy. I might make fun of you in the next video, but I'll still be happy because it boosts my video. So watch to the end and leave a comment on what your thoughts are down below. Let's get right into the video. This bar of Pop's in-house, ignore my messy table, Pop's in-house steel, I forget which kind, it's one of their in-house steels. It's basically already normalized. So I don't have to do any normalizing cycles. All I have to do is heat it up to the temperature, let it soak for a few minutes in the forge at a specific temperature, and then plunge it in the oil. I don't know much about this particular steel. I got to do some research, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to cut out as many knives out of this bar of steel as possible.
Most of the time, I forge all my knives to shape. I heat up the raw metal and hammer it to shape and do everything from scratch. This video, I am going to be grinding and cutting everything to shape. With this particular type of steel, you do not need to forge it beforehand. All of these modern day steels does not need to be forged. That rumor was true about 1,000 years ago whenever they were taking blocks of dirt and turning it into swords. The more you forged it back then, the more of the impurities came out of the steel. Today, it doesn't really matter. For me personally, others this may vary, but me personally, it is more profitable for me to make stock removal knives than it is to forge. The reason it is more profitable for me to do stock removal is a bottle of propane in my area is $25, and I can only forge one knife at a time, whenever I can grind a stack of knives at once. Another reason why it is more profitable is my grinding belts are very budget friendly. They're about $6 a piece, and one grinding belt will last from the very beginning of the knife all the way to the end, which means I can cut the knife to shape, grind the bevels, and grind the handle to shape and the guards and fittings with one single grinding belt. Whenever a bottle of propane costs $25 and I can only forge a knife so far with propane. For example, I can only forge a knife so far before I have to stop, then bring it to the grinder and grind the bevels and grind all the black oxides off, which really destroys a grinding belt quick.
Now that I got all of these ground, I got the Tonto, it's got a little bit of a drop point on all of these. What the heck are you doing, cat? Cat, what the heck are you doing? All of these are ground. What I need to do now is I need to measure an even distance on this handle and poke 2 holes. All right, something that not a lot of knife makers talk about, at least the YouTuber knife makers talk about. Whenever I poke a hole in this tang, it's going to create an automatic weak spot, wherever that hole is. So, if I poke a hole with my drill, right here for example, there's only this little bit of metal holding it and this little bit of metal holding it together. Whenever I go to pry, it's going to put pressure along this entire tang right here. I want to pry with my knives. I'm going to get idiots down in the comments saying, oh, you shouldn't pry with your knives. It's a tool. I'm going to use it and I'm going to abuse it. You poke a hole right here now. You have a 1/4 inch of steel and a 1/4 inch of steel on both sides of that hole. And it's just a lot stronger. 2 things you're going to want before you drill holes. Some kind of oil or cutting oil. I prefer a cutting oil because it just helps a little bit better. And I do not know the science behind it, but I know it works better than WD-40. WD-40 will work, or even water will work. What it does is it prevents your drill bit from heating up and going dull. If it heats up, it's going to lose the temper, then it's going to go dull as soon as it touches that metal. So use WD-40. It helps bite the steel, it helps keep everything clean, and it helps your drill bit from heating up. And then start off with a sharp drill bit.
The next step in the process is also a step I take to save on money. Whenever I light the forge to quench these knives, I also stuck the katana in there and forged the katana blade out. That next video is coming soon, and for those who watched the first one, yeah, that video sucks, so I'm going to redo it. But yes, I stuck the batch of EDC knives in there to soak, and then while they were soaking, I was also forging out the katana and a couple of other little things that didn't really matter too much. But I was working on multiple projects, therefore I was saving time and money and propane.
No, I need a bigger workshop. Here is some hammers I forged. Let me know if you want to see a video on me making these guys. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pointy things that require handles.
Something that really makes your knives stand out and basically market themselves is the handle material. If you choose the correct handle material and put the correct finish on the correct knife, then it will literally sell itself. I've had it happen before. I've had people buy the knife just because they like the pretty handle. They're not even going to use it. They're just going to hang it up on the wall because they like the look of it or like the colors. So if you can find handle material that really matches well and flows together with everything, because if it don't look good, then it's not going to catch somebody's eye. Not as many people will look at it or want it. Another tip I use to save on money and make money is if I have a lot of handle material that I'm going to grind and turn into dust, what I will do instead is cut everything out with my hacksaw. What that will do is save on grinding belts, and it will also give me more handle material in the future. This particular batch of knives, I am going to be doing a black wash finish. This is a tub of instant coffee along with some other chemicals that I'm not going to disclose in this video because I kind of came up with these myself. But what this does is it puts a black oxide finish along these pieces of steel, and what that will also do is protect it from rust. Then I'm going to put in a bucket of rocks and I'm going to shake it. What this will do is put a really nice stone wash finish over the thing, and you may be wondering, what is this for? Well, purely aesthetics. There's nothing that the stone wash look does other than make it look slightly used and better overall. The next thing I am going to do is rough up the bottom of each and every set of scales, so that way the epoxy will grab them and ensure a lot stronger of a bond between the steel and the micarta. While the epoxy is still curing and it's slightly malleable, what I will do is I will hit the pins a few times with a hammer to mushroom them over or rivet them over to permanently attach them to the knife. Next up is the sheath. You want to take time to make the sheath because the sheath is just as important as the knife. It is what allows you to carry this with you every day and everywhere. If the sheath is not comfortable or not good quality, then not a whole lot of people are going to like it or want it. This particular batch of knives is going to get a hybrid leather and kydex sheath, and you'll see why here in just a second. So, what I'm going to do is I got to drill the holes in this area, cut this to shape, and then make this look pretty. I'm hoping by the time I'm done with this, this is going to look really good. Sorry guys, I'm pretty sick today, but you might have seen some posts the last few weeks of me saying, oh, the video's almost done. Well, my family got sick, so I was taking care of them, then I got sick, which delayed it by almost a month. After I lay everything out, I drill the holes, make sure everything is lined up, and then rivet it all together. I love this little riveting tool. A little expensive, but definitely worth it. Then I use some white polishing compound I got from Ace Hardware to buff the edges. What that does is makes the edges of the leather really smooth, and also it barely melts the kydex, so it makes that also real smooth and shiny. What I will do next is take some water and wet the leather half down so the way it will mold to the shape of the knife. Then I will open up my extremely messy drawer full of leather working supplies such as dyes, polyurethanes, waxes, and oils, and dig for this. It's basically a dye that makes the leather look old. After putting a seal coat of wipe-on polyurethane, I'm going to let it dry by the fan for one night. I think this batch of EDC, everyday carry, small bushcraft, hunting, or whatever you'd like to call them knives, turned out really, really nice. I used vintage micarta on 3 of them, and the 2 red and blue one I used just some micarta I found on Pop's Knife Supply and Maker Material Supply. A lot of people really hate the thickness that I put on my knives. The reason I do that is because I have a lifetime warranty, which means if you break it, I will make you another one for free. But I'm also going to make them where it is really, really, really hard for you to break it. Some people may be wondering if it's so thick, after you sharpen it a few times, it's going to make the edge thicker and thicker. Not with a full flat grind or hollow grind. As long as you do the grind correctly, the blades themselves will last a very long time as you sharpen them down, if you know what I mean. Another thing people worry about is the cutting capability. They may be saying, oh, because it's so thick, you can cut better with a brick. Well, that's not true, because as long as you keep them sharp, you can cut through just about anything. Yes, it might be a little bit harder to make thin slices on tomatoes, or even paper. but it can still cut through rope and leather and carve wood and go hunting and fishing just as good as your 110 buck knife. Something I've never really attempted to do before is make a pocket carry sheath. These sheaths I made, half of them leather and the other half Kydex. The reason why I did the leather is because carbon steel sitting in your pocket is going to rust with you sweating over time, or if you're in a humid area. So my guesses are the leather is going to help pull that moisture away from the blade and help prevent it from rusting. All right, now on to the good stuff. If you want to sell the batch of knives me and you just made, we need to keep a few things in mind. Are you good at making knives? If not, stop the video right now and get good and come back in about a month whenever you're good at making them. Or I should say 6 months. The reason why I say this is because if your knives are ugly, and if your grind lines are all over the place, and if you don't know how to heat treat them correctly, and you don't know how to price them correctly, and you don't know how to make a lot of them really quickly, then you're not going to make money, or you're not going to be very good at making money. I've mentioned this before in my other videos, but that is still the most important thing in making knives. For example, the people who make the most money in this industry is the people who are the best at it. Look at some of the ABS mastersmiths. They can demand $5,000 or more for their blades and their creations, and they will get it. While people like me and you, who are probably really good at it, but definitely not as good as we could be, can't get hardly a few $100s per knife. So get good at making your knives, practice up a lot before you bring them to shows or put them online or sell them. That brings me straight to my next point. How do you sell them? With so many websites and social media pages outlawing anything pointy or scary, it is really hard to market yourself and promote yourself. That's why I'm kind of like an outlaw, and I do it anyway online. Post them online, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, any other social media platform you can think of. Okay, so you got good and you got a little bit of a following on social media. Now, go online and find all of the local vendor events that will allow your work. For example, I go to all the historical events in my local areas of New Mexico. New Mexico is a very historical state with lots of people like Billy the Kid and the Outlaws, other Wild West heroes and villains, that they have festivals and events honoring and remembering these people. I go there and I set up and I sell a lot of my work because it draws in lots of people from all around. So what you need to do is you need to go online, find gun shows, knife shows, events and markets and farmers markets that you can go to set up. Be sure to have your business name very clear. Be sure to have some business cards with your contact info on it, and be sure to have your items displayed where they look good. If you keep doing what I recommend in all these videos, I can guarantee you will sell at least one item and make money off of it. So be sure to price your knives accordingly and make sure you do good work and promote yourself. And eventually, you will have a successful and running business or a hobby that pays for itself at least. The batch of knives you saw me make in the video, I sold for $375 each. You make $2,250 in cash. Now, you need to take the materials off of that. So, you make $2,000. Thank you guys for suffering through the longest video I've ever made. It is just getting to the 20-minute mark as of right now. If you made it this far, I'm sure you'll love my slightly shorter videos of anywhere between 7 to 15 minutes. Click the subscribe button, like, and comment your thoughts down below so that way I can know how to make a better video next week.